All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fitless Podcast episode number 12. This is an exciting one and a long time coming. I'm joined, as always, by Blaine Dusing, and we have a special guest with us today. Blaine, why don't you do the introduction because he is actually your client, which makes this even cooler.
Yes, so I will introduce Mr. Rich Lancellot. Out of all my clients, he is probably one of the ones that decided to, as we like to phrase, chase the white rhino or chase the silver bullet and just completely latch on and do everything correct. And I will let him tout his own accolades pertaining to the weight loss and how his body feels. But it got to the point where he got so good at strength training that I eventually told him that I'm not taking his money anymore. You're training with me now. So now 2 days a week, he trains with me, and Sundays we go to lunch. And as we know darn well, clients will become friends faster than friends will become clients. So Rich and I become good friends, as well as his wife and my wife. So we go to dinners together, we hang out together, and him and his wife train with me twice a week. So he is, and his wife, are top one percenters. And I thought it would be good to have a realistic perspective from an actual client, and he can kind of tout his accolades and tell his journey about how he met me and how he finds the training and anything else he wants to elaborate on.
Great. Let's hear it, Rich.
Well, that's nice of you guys to have me on. Blaine is way too kind. It's mostly about him. I mean, I just go in and do what he tells me to do. To be honest with you, um, met Blaine. I guess it'll be October. First week in October will be 3 years. We've been working out together. So I've been working out pretty much my whole life. Looking back, when you guys asked me to be on the podcast, I mean, I started working out in high school, same as any other high school guy. Wants to, get bigger and start your workout journey. You have no idea what you're doing. You start in your bedroom and you get a weight bar and ask your parents for weights, and that's where you start. And you watch some guys get really big really fast, and you ask them what they're doing, and I don't think they know either. I never understood that till I met Blaine, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to look like that guy." But some people respond, and what he called the genetic potential, which I had no idea about until now. I'll be 61 in September. I had no idea what that was, but it's true. Everybody has a different body type. I was a swimmer growing up. I mean, I was a skinny kid. I weighed 155 pounds, and some of these guys were on the football team, and they were huge. And I couldn't understand why I could never get there. But I had a swimmer's body. I still do. I got a 30-inch inseam. My daughters are 6'1". They're real tall. And they have like 37-inch inseams. They look like models. I get in the car and I'm like all the way out here. Uh, but some of these guys, we would work out in high school. There was a weight coach. We were really lucky. He was a great weight coach, and he's the one who showed me how to work out. And we had weights in the weight room, but I was intimidated. I mean, a lot of these guys were huge. I mean, they were the guys you got out of the way in the hallway, and
Right.
you knew who the big guys were. And that continued in college. But when I did work out, my body responded. Um, I never knew what a mesomorph was or ectomorph, whatever. Blaine had sent me to a physical therapist and a massage therapist who worked with me as well. And he coached, hey, you're a mesomorph. Like when you work out, your body muscle grows like a Twizzler, like a licorice, and your body grows really fast. Uh, and he was amazing for my growth too. But it's true, like the weight coach even said that back then. See, you're responding. Um, but when I went to college, that's another like whole different phase of your life. Like like I look back at my weightlifting journey, like I went to Kutztown College in Pennsylvania, and they were the powerlifting champions of the United States. It's this little
Wow.
tiny Division II college between Reading, Pennsylvania, and Allentown, Pennsylvania. But those guys were bigger than the guys that I had in high school. I mean, I would go into like your biology class that there's 200 people in it. And these guys walked in, and I was just like amazed at how I want to look like that. Um, But of course, I'll never look like that. And I never knew that until I met guys like on your hit page, like you, John, and Blaine, and I never knew that. I'm always going to have a swimmer's body. I'm always going to be like lean and on the smaller side, but I can still look great. But
Yeah.
I'll and that's where I met my freshman roommate and great friend, even 40 years later. And this is in 1983. I started college. Those guys were those powerlifting champions. I tried to work out with those guys, but they were not very welcoming. I mean, they saw me and they wanted big guys, because they're trying to powerlifting championships is how much weight you can lift in a
Hmm.
certain short period of time, and it's all about stacking weight. So they weren't real welcoming. But my roommate in college was went on to become an Army Ranger. So I learned the Army Ranger way to work out, which is set of 8, set of 10, set of 12. And I got into a workout routine with him, and we were up at 5 a.m. and running, a lot of running, which was horrible for me. I'm an asthmatic. I grew up asthmatic. That didn't last for me very long. So I'm back with the 8, 10, and 12, and I stuck with that forever. And it was stop, start, stop, start. But when I started, I would respond. I mean, my body would really respond. But it was always stop and start. 3 months on, and I'll get back in, or I'll start packing my food and all the stuff that you guys talk about. Um, and then when my wife and I met in college, we've been married. Fortunately, I married 40. This year we'll be married 38 years. My wife and I met in 1985 and got married in 88. So we real fortunate. We work out together. She goes to Blaine as well. She's still setting personal records. She scares me because she's like, I think she did on the 185, I think, on Blaine's, stomach machine, and I'm like, wow, I gotta start jumping my game up to 205 to try and. He's like, don't compare, but it's hard when your wife is so strong. But so we've latched onto this thing together, so it's been great. I went down a full suit size. And I started at 220, and I sent you my prior photo.
Yeah, amazing
Um,
transformation.
and I'm now down to my lowest I got down to was like 183, but I hovering at 185. My goal was to get to 195, and Blaine's like, just keep going, keep going. You'll be amazed how far you can go. Um, and my body fat got down to about 20%. I went out and bought a body fat scale, like a whole body scale, which is kind of cool because it's not always about weight. So I'm hoping to get down to, a little lower, but, kind of plateaued at that 185 level, which I never, ever thought I'd be buying 34-inch pants in my whole life. It's been pretty cool. And I feel great. I have a lot of energy. And we do it in 25 minutes. I'm just like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, that's
Like,
that's for both of us.
yeah, that's for both of us. So we both do it, and it's 6 exercises one day and 5 the other. And I'm used to spending an hour in the gym. We even hired a fitness trainer we had called Kyle, who was great. We did really great at LA Fitness. He was super nice guy. But nothing is compared to this fitness journey. I did Body for Life. I've done that, where it's like that thing you were talking about,
Yep.
Blaine, a few maybe last month, get fit in 6 weeks,
Hmm.
Yeah,
Bill
6 week shred
Phillips. Yep.
course. Yeah, all the
Yeah.
BS. Yeah, 90-day shred.
Yeah, nothing has compared to this. It's just been a complete transformation for me to buy all new suits and all new clothes. It's just been awesome. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So how does this, I mean, this is amazing, especially since you've had such a varied past with training. And for you to see Blaine and be like, wow, this guy's in great shape. I would like him to train me. And then him
Yeah.
telling you, well, this is all you're going to be doing. Were you kind of like, what are you talking about? Or you're going to have me do something different than you because obviously you spend like 3 hours a day in the gym because it's
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
your house. I mean, how did you process that to say, okay, I'm going to trust him and move forward with this?
Yeah, because when you first walk into his gym, I'm like, you only got 4 machines in here, right? I'm like, how does this work? And It is interesting, but he's like, no, they do different things. I'm like, okay, I got that. But no, when you understand the concept and he explains it to you, and then you do the workout, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's it. That made sense because when you do one set to failure over a minute and a half, and the time under tension, then when you do that to 90 seconds, it's hard. And then he said to me, do you feel you could do another set right now? And that's when it clicked for me. I'm like, I probably could. And he goes, you probably did. And I said, yeah, I did. And he goes, yeah, but then you did it at a lower weight, didn't you? And I said, yeah, I did it at a lower weight. And he goes, yeah, then you went 12, 10, 8 kind of thing. And I said, yeah. And he goes, what did you accomplish? And I said, I probably just, beat the heck out of myself, right? And he goes, yeah. And that's when it clicked for me. He's like, yeah, you did it, but you really were probably causing more damage than you
Hmm.
were causing any more growth. He goes, once you've exhausted the muscle, then you're done. And I'm like, wow. And then he shared with me the study from the book that shows that, in the long run, they're actually the same, if not better. By doing more, you're actually accomplishing less. So when you're done. And I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. But I mean, I was pretty sweaty by the time I was done with my first session, and I'm like, okay, there's something to this. But I am in medical sales. I've been in medical sales my whole career, believe it or not, 38 years. So I'm a study guy. So I'm like, show me the study. And he had the scientific proof behind it, which is Doug McGuff, right? Did I say that correctly?
Mhm.
And then when you look at the science, it's backed up by science, which is the name of the book, Body by Science, right?
Hmm.
So it's in there, and I'm like, why are people going in there and doing it for thinking they're in there for 2 and 3 hours? And then I look back at a guy who I admire, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I go, he just had the genetic potential. He just responded. Like, and I look back at like when I was in high school, some of these football guys that went on to play at like West Virginia and University of Cal and all that, and you'd see him in the gym, and I'm like, my God, that guy's calves are huge. I'm like, he's the guy you don't want to get mad in high school, and you're like, well, he's just built that way. And
That's it.
they just respond. A runner as a runner and a hockey player as a hockey player. I'm never going to look like a hockey guy. And a swimmer, is a swimmer. Like if you look at Michael Phelps, he's Michael Phelps. He's not going to look, like an outside linebacker, like my son-in-law. My son-in-law he played as an outside linebacker for Boston College. I mean, he walked through the door and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's massive. I'll never look like that, but I always wanted to, and I could never figure out why I don't. So between Dr. McGuff and all the research Blaine has done, that really made sense to me. And
Yeah,
then
I love.
and the waiting part was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just kept saying, stick with it, stick
Dude, it's
with it.
it's an extremely slow process, man. Muscle goes on in micrograms, and you got to be patient. Like people look at me, and then I tell them, dude, I haven't missed a workout in 6 years. I haven't had a sip of alcohol in almost 7 years. I eat
Yeah.
predominantly clean 95% of the time. You just keep grinding, but time's going to pass anyway. You might as well stick to the grind.
Hmm.
And then you look back at old photos and go, holy hell, I'm doing all right here. Like I'm killing it. And
Yeah.
to Rich's point, I don't even feel like we do much. We're done in 20 minutes, man. We're chit chatting. Yeah, we bust our ass in there and we take everything to failure, but we're done in no time. And we spend more time at lunch than we do in the gym.
Yeah, I agree. I think like when you showed me Blaine, like at one point you probably don't even remember, but like I think we are about 7 or 8 months in, and you go, look, here's a picture of me like 4 years ago. And I was like, oh wow. I was like, I didn't even realize you even look like that. You go, I hit it pretty well because because you're long and lean like me, like your long body,
Hmm.
and we hide it. We can pack on the pounds and hide it well. But I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. But I think that you do need to realize it does take time, and I think also it helps. Like all of a sudden, a couple people were like, "What are you doing? Like what are you working on?" Like I play tennis like, 4 times a week, sometimes five, and a couple of my captain on my tennis team said, "Are you working out? What are you doing?" He goes, "You look way different." And then, at Thanksgiving, my family noticed they hadn't seen me in like, 4 or 5 months. They're like, "Wow, you look great." And that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to jump back to two things. One is I love how you talked about the genetics, and Blaine and I talk about this a lot because just like everything, there's the bell curve, and you have the middle 60 to 80%, and then you have each end, the really hard gainers, 10 to 20% on one side, 10 to 20% on the other side, are very easy responders. Mesomorph is more leaning towards the people who respond really well. But again,
That's what it is.
I love the fact that you brought this up because there's so many people who coach with somebody based on their physique. And it can be part of, like you saw Blaine, you're like, wow, he's in great shape. I want to have that. But if you went in expecting to look like Blaine, have his muscle bellies, have his size, the way he carries things, you would have walked away disappointed. And so many people look at influencers or read an article by an author who is in great shape and think, I want to have that body. I want to have a swimmer's body, so I'm going to start swimming. I want to have a bar method body, so I'm going to do that. And you can't get that unless you have those genetics. And there's nothing wrong with doing those activities or those exercises or those routines if you enjoy them, but don't expect to have the same outcome as somebody who has the genetics to excel in that, which is why they're actually showcasing it.
Yes, exactly. And Blaine pointed that out like very early in the process. He's always very goal oriented. Like, what do you want
Mhm.
to do with it? And I said, hey, my goal is I want to get better at tennis. And he's like, all of this all fits into that. That's always my goal. And so, and I want to have longevity. I don't want to. I watch my parents who never exercised at all. And when you're 85, you're still going to have this muscle is what it's all about for,
Mhm.
for longevity as well. You'll feel better when you're older, because muscle will always stay with you. So,
Definitely. And the other
yeah,
thing I wanted to touch on, which is a huge body transformation that this suits being, a smaller size, everything changing. Now, people think, oh, great, this exercise does this. And exercise absolutely changes the body composition, but you had to be doing other things because, the old saying, you can't out exercise a bad diet. What did you change as far as eating? Because I'm sure Blaine was a great influence in saying,
yeah,
you're building this muscle, you want to be able to see it. This is what you need to do. So I don't want people walking away saying, wow, I want to do what you guys do without realizing there's more to it than just what you do for that 20 minutes a session twice a week.
yeah, without a doubt, it is. You do have to change your diet. I think that the muscle and then the working out is a part of it, but it's also about diet and sleep. I mean, you definitely sleep way better. I mean, especially on the days that I work out, but I mean, I wouldn't say that I went like really crazy what they talk about, like food prep and counting every calorie and that type of thing. I really didn't go that crazy. I have in the past, and I was determined not to do that, but I made like really big changes as far as me. Like I'm like Blaine, I haven't had any alcohol in probably 9 years, so that was fairly easy for me. Is cutting out alcohol. No alcohol is a big one. Um, the biggest shocker for me is when we started researching that on my end is like you can work out all you want, but if you drink the day before you work out, you get zero benefit. I had no idea because the alcohol is still working on your body's still working on getting rid of your alcohol. So it can't work on, having your muscle be repaired. So it can't do both at the same time, is kind of the layman's way to put that. So all these years I've been working out like a mad dog in the gym, and I've gotten zero growth. So no wonder I never got anywhere. So it was almost like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, as that old saying goes. So if you're drinking and you're working out, you're really getting nothing done. I mean, you really can't work, have any drinks at all for at least 1 or 2 days before or after. If you want to have an occasional drink on the weekend or what have you, that's okay. But nowhere in between that before and after phase, because that has something to do with the protein synthesis without getting
Mhm.
too deep, with the muscle repair. And I remember you did an article, or you had some talking about that, but I was like blown away. So I was like, wow, I really had a zero sum game going on for some time around alcohol. So
And
that helped tremendously
that's
with the
that's a
growth.
that's such an important point, and I think it becomes more so as we get older because when you're young, you can pretty much eat or do anything. You have such a surge of hormones that even with the alcohol, you still can tend to build muscle. But as we get older, I mean, alcohol is a poison. Alcohol, you
Yeah,
drink alcohol, everything else stops. Your body will not burn fat. Your body will not do anything until it can process and get rid of that poison. Because if it
right.
sits in your system, what does poison do? It damages, and enough of it will kill you. So this becomes, all hands on deck. Drop everything else. We've got to get rid of this out of our system. So
Right.
that's really a great epiphany to have because there are so many people who are just casual drinkers every day. Oh, after work, I'll have a beer, I'll have a glass of wine, and it will just kind of eat away at your potential and your results.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
just to can I piggyback off real quick,
go
Rich?
ahead, go ahead.
Just to say the importance of alcohol consumption, because I put this on my page, but I don't think I said it on the podcast. I had a conversation with another lady that's like, why don't I look any different? And I'm going through her daily routine, fasting, pretty healthy options. And she goes, oh, well, I have 2 glasses of wine every night with my husband. And I said, tall, regular glasses or tall pours? And she's like, tall pours. So I busted out my calculator and I did the math real quick and I said, I forget the actual number, what it was. It was like 512. I'm like, does that sound like a lot of bottles of wine to you? She's like, that's astronomical. That's insane. I said, that's how many bottles you drink in a year. I said, then I did the math for calories with 3,500 calories being in 1 pound of fat. I said, you consume
Crazy.
40 pounds of wine a year. 40 pounds. Just take that
Wow.
into consideration. If you were to just cut that off or at least cut it in half, but you're ingesting 40 pounds of just sugar, ethanol, nothing that's going to be nutrient dense in your body every single year. And you're wondering why nothing's changing. It's a big proponent of it.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that's people don't look at it that way. And I love that you brought that up with her because, just like with, I'm having 2 cans of soda a day. What's the big deal? And then when you say, well, that's, 50 pounds of sugar a year you're eating. Oh my gosh, really? And it may be even more than that. I don't know. But, putting it in those terms so people can really understand them, really has an impact.
Agreed.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, the other thing that changed for me is that he's like, "Have you checked your testosterone level?" I'm like, "No, like who does that?"
We do.
And I'm like,
Go get your
"Are
blood
you
work,
serious?"
Lancelot.
And he's like, "You need to check your testosterone." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll get around to that." Like I was like, "It's fine." And I'm in the medical industry, so I'm like, I guess he has something there. So I did, and it was like ridiculously low. I think it was like at 220 or 240. Even my doctor was kind of shocked. And he's like, "Your doctors know nothing about testosterone." I'm like, "My doctor's pretty smart. She went to UM, she's really good. She puts me on a gel, the gel
Hmm.
that you rub on, and I'm like, yeah, Blaine, I'm like needle phobic. I'm not going to be injecting myself here. Let's not go crazy, right?" And he's like, "You can try it."
It's
And
not going to do anything.
he says, "It's not really going to work," and it did for a little bit. So it spiked to maybe 330 or 340 or something. And then I'm like, all right, so I guess I gotta, go see his doctor, which I did. So I caved in after about 4 or 5 months, and then I went and saw um, the testosterone clinic. I went to the T clinic. They did a full workup, and then I started, with injecting a low dose, which I'm still on. Um, and I think it's 150 micrograms twice a week. And my testosterone came up significantly to a normal level. It's not like 1200, like 1300, like a crazy, crazy weightlifter, gonzo level. I think it's around 650 or something like that, which is in the normal range. But doing that significantly, gained a lot of energy. I feel a lot better. And I thank him for that because they were like, wow, that's where you should be for a normal level. That changed the game a lot for me. I feel a lot better. It took a little bit to get used to it, but it's just part of my normal routine. It's pretty easy to do, and I credit the T Clinic for that and Dr. Boz. Um, it's Baza, right? Or
Yep.
make sure I say that right. So it's Dr. Baza who I see usually every 4 months or so, and I go in and they check your blood levels. They make sure everything is safe, and I haven't had any issues with that whatsoever. And my internal medicine doctor is in full support of that. So it's been a really big change for me. That's been a really good one, I have to say. So that was another change that I made. But the other change I made is I eat really low carb for the most part. I really any bread that we have in the house is it seems small, but it makes a big difference for me. If I eat regular bread, I gain weight. I mean, if I eat regular just white bread, not even just regular wheat bread, I eat all low carb keto bread. That makes a big difference. And even that I don't eat a lot of. But most of it is just meat and vegetables. We don't eat a lot of pasta here. I kind of followed him on that. He's like, just what do you say? Just smash the carbs and just eat meat and vegetables. It's very boring. But I'm not as strict as Blaine is. I mean, I used to be, but I do go with my sweet stuff every once in a while, but not a lot. So I used to eat a lot of like the Atkins stuff for snacks and stuff, which has too much glycerin in it. But like if somebody's having pizza, I'll have pizza. If somebody's having, like a birthday cake, I'll eat birthday cake. But I don't eat it all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's not like every night I have dessert, you know?
Right.
But am I counting calories? No. Do I eat like crazy? No. Am I doing the fasting? Yeah, I do that pretty regularly. Probably, I'll eat my last meal at like 8 o'clock, and then I probably don't eat again until usually 2 o'clock the next day.
Okay.
Well, um,
So you've taken all the pieces, and I'm sure, a lot of this sounds like was Blaine's influence, which is amazing. And you put them together. You didn't just hear and walk away. Oh, that sounds good. I mean, some of them may have taken a little longer, but you're putting everything together so there's no real loose ends, and you're reaping the benefits of it.
yeah, yeah. I don't fast all the time, but I try to. That really has helped me a lot, I think. Yeah, and then you just kind of get used to it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like on the weekends, if we go to the diner or something, I'll eat at 11. I'm not going to be that crazy. Say, oh, I can't eat till 2. No, I mean, yeah. So I'm not super strict on any one thing because I think that's when you break down. And he talks a lot about that on his Facebook page. I think if you're too strict, oh, today I'm doing it, and I think after about 3 weeks, you crash.
Yeah.
And
And
I experienced that a lot, which is why I'd work out for 3 months and be a maniac. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to stop and I'll get back to it when I get back to it. Um,
Yeah, and I think too many people look at things like all or nothing and they go to
yes.
extremes. And some people are built for that. Like Blaine, I think you're probably even more so than me, okay with doing something like that. Like I had a friend who was a former cop, and he said, you would either make a great cop or a great prisoner because you're good with regiment. You're good with schedules. You could just stick with something. And I think, Blaine, you're probably even better than that would than I am because you see, okay, this is not good. You're just not going to do it. Um, I may, go out and have ice cream, have wings, have pizza. But again, it's not every night, like Rich said. It's the definitely the exception rather than the rule. But for me, that's part of life, part of, hanging out with family. Food
Yeah.
is a social thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing is we never miss the workout. I have to say, I think I missed with him maybe once when I had the flu. and all that 2.5+ years. I mean, when we're on vacation, we find a gym. And some days you don't want to do it, 'cause especially like we went on a 3-week trip over to Europe. We found a gym every week, no matter where we were. Amsterdam, found a gym. We were in Switzerland, we found a gym. We'll pay $20 each to find a gym. And we always joke around and we send him a picture, which he
Yeah, you
probably
send me a picture
gets
of
a
every
kick
gym
out.
you're in. I'm like, dude, you're
That's
the only clients that's doing that. That's awesome. I'm so proud of
Yeah,
you. Seriously. You're like,
yeah,
here's the equipment, here's what we did,
mm,
here's the routine we did. Yeah, that's great.
that's super
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It
Well,
was pretty
we are
fun.
down to our last couple of minutes, so this went way too fast.
Okay, good.
I just I think people jumping in and listening to your take on this, Rich, is going to be really, really helpful because, again, a lot of times we'll talk to other trainers who have been doing this or maybe started training one way and went another. You're not a trainer. You're somebody out there living life and you're taking what Blaine is teaching you and the training you do together and applying it. And again, it's if anybody saw your before or after pictures, they would be amazed at the progress you've made. So, congratulations on that.
Yeah. Also, shout out to my wife too. I mean, we keep each other honest. Joan has done an amazing job, and she's setting personal records all the time. She's amazing. She keeps going up and up and up too. So we're on the journey together. So it's been great for both of us.
Beautiful. Blaine, any closing words?
No, like I said, I'm glad he came on. I'm glad it's a realistic perspective. The guy chased the white rhino. He's lost 40 pounds in just about 3 years, which is a slow, correct way to do it.
Hmm.
And like me, you're not counting calories, you're not counting macros, you're not prepping meals. You just learn how to back off here and there and make, wise decisions the majority of the time. It doesn't need to be extreme. It doesn't need to be optimal or ideal. Just stay the course and make good decisions most of the time. Simplify the process. And he does a great job of doing that. And he's a living testament to it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Rich, thank you.
Thanks to
Thanks for
Blaine.
coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks to Blaine, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank
Of
you.
course. Well, until next week, I will bid you all adieu. And Blaine, it's always a pleasure. I mean, we
Yes,
catch up
sir.
during the week, but I love doing these.
Yeah, we text all day anyway, but I'll
We
see you
do.
when I see you.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks,
Later,
guys.
All
buddy.
right, guys.